Right, good morning yellow class. For our maths today we're going to do something a little bit practical, and so you are going to need to get some resources today. Now you need to get 5 or 6 things that are quite tall. We're going to be measuring height today. Now I always remember that height goes up, length goes along. So we're going to be measuring height today, and we're going to be thinking about the height of some objects. So not only do you need some tall objects, you also need something to measure with. Now, I have got a selection of things here. You don't need lots of things. One thing will do you fine. But you could have something like a ruler. You might just have a little short ruler. You might have a tape measure like this. Or if you're really lucky, you might have one like this, which you can hook underneath the things that you're measuring. Okay? Now, when you are measuring in school, the rulers that we have got have only got centimetres down both sides. The rulers that you might have at home, you'll have to look at because you've got centimetres one side and you might have inches on the other side, okay? You need to be measuring in centimetres. Centimetres are smaller than inches, okay? So we're going to be measuring in centimetres, and you will need to think about that. On my tape measure, it's got centimetres one side and inches on the other side, and my tape measure here is the same. It has centimetres one side and inches on the other side. So make sure you use the side that says centimetres because there is a difference with both of those. So as I've said, we're going to be measuring height today, and height goes up. As you can see, and as you would expect, I do have a lovely collection of giraffes that we are going to be looking at today. So when we're measuring height, we need to make sure that the 0 is always at the bottom. So if we take this giraffe here, when we're measuring it, we need to make sure that that 0 is always right at the bottom so that we're measuring accurately. Now on my tape measures, I'm quite lucky because the 0 is right on the end of the tape measure. On a ruler, you will probably find, if you look closely, that you have got a little bit before the ruler starts. So you will have to make sure that you start measuring from where the 0 would be. You can't measure from right at the end, you have to measure from here where the 0 is. So you need to make sure you look at that really carefully. So if you've got a tape measure, the 0 is at the bottom, so I can line that up and I can measure that up to the height of my giraffe. Now, some of the things that I'm measuring may not be exactly the right height. So when I'm having a look, I might have to decide whether it's nearer the number before or nearer the number after. That's called rounding up. So I might have to round up how tall something is. So my giraffe here, oh, I'm quite lucky. He's 25 centimetres tall. So he was quite close. So you might have to have a look. Some of you might be able to use the millimetres, and the millimetres are the tiny little lines in between the centimetres. So you might be able to use those to give me a more accurate reading of how tall your things are. But don't worry if you're rounding up or rounding down. And I can record that so I could draw a picture of my object and I could show how tall it was in my book. Now, if I have got a very tall object, like my giraffe here, and I'm only using a little ruler like this, do you think that's going to be very easy? No, it's not. It's going to be very tricky for me to measure that. So, what I would do is if I was using something like that and I only had a small ruler, I might see if I've got a piece of string and I might measure my giraffe with a piece of string so that I know how long he is, and I can lay that along the floor, and then I can use my small ruler to carefully measure along. You might need somebody to help you do that because you're going to need probably more than 2 hands. That's not going to be very easy, but that will be easier than trying to use a short ruler to measure something that's very tall. Okay, so your maths for Thursday is to measure and to see how tall things are around your home. So you're going to need 5 or 6 objects and then you are going to need something to help you measure, and it can be a ruler or it can be a tape measure. And have lots of fun doing this, because there are lots of things in your houses that you can measure. Okay, well done everybody.